Hi everyone, good morning. For today's video, we're going to answer the questions and the output of HRM 300 to Organization Development. Together with my group mates, and first let me introduce myself to you guys. I am Mary Grace Davan and I'm going to answer the first topic, which is the OD practices entry contracting diagnosis. First question, explain how OD diagnoses minors action research. In organization development, diagnosis actions research thus conceptualized to provide a platform where members of a group. Action research begins with the identification of a problem area followed by the development of the hypothesis and collected of empirical data to test hypothesis. Organizational diagnosis adopt this same process defined by Cunning and Lusley 2008 that describe organization diagnosis as a collaborate process between the client and organization and the OD practitioner to collect pertinent information. Number 2, what is the difference between diagnostic and dialogic approach? The difference between dialogic and diagnostic approach is it focused on the alignment of specific variables in an organization and its environment. It coaches on changing behaviors and used to look at organization as open system. While dialogic is also diagnosis approach is built upon the meaning is created in and through social interactions and more, and built on the premise that dialogues are powerful. Explain the key principles and practical consideration in designing an OD interventions. How you design an OD interventions. So the key principles and practical consideration in designing OD interventions. First is, let us define the OD intervention. It's an organization development intervention refers to the range of planned activities that clients and the OD practitioner design to execute together during the course of an organization development engagement for the purpose of improvement. Also, OD interventions is a structured, planned activity directed and at a target person, group, or intergroup or an entire organization to restore the status quo and to shift the system towards a different state with a goal of improvement and development. So, to design the OD intervention, first is, whenever possible, structure the activity contain both experience-based and concept-based learning. Second is structure the activity to liberate rather than generate anxiety and defensiveness. Next is it increase system anatomy and help generate valid information, encourage free, informed choice, and in the process, secure the client's internal commitment. And last, have a clear, congruent communication within the system that deals with both the covert and overt communication process. So, the various classification of OD intervention needs to respond to an actual and felt need for change, validated through a process of diagnosis. It involves the client in planning and implementing the intervention and leads to change in organization structure. So the 3 cubes and give practitioner the framework for the intervention design. A combination of factors lies behind the successful execution of intervention.
Hi, good day. So I will be answering this question. How do you transform an organization? Give an example. So, in order to transform an organization, first is you should know the environment in which organization operates. Knowing every corner and details before to put a strategy so that it will be easy for you to have an idea. For any organization transformation to work, leaders must bridge the gap between design and delivery with strategic initiatives that lay the foundation for lasting and meaningful change. Leaders must approach organizational change with an integrated changes. Like for example, latest technology. Organization that successfully implementing strategy using technology as their number one advantage because through digital technology remake the process to become more efficient and effective. In other way, the use of technology is not just to replicate an existing service in a digital form, but to transform that service into something significantly better. So the question number 2, explain the culture building process and give an example. So the first step is communicate desired values, role modeling, engage organization, align systems and structures, train for innovation, and evaluate and reinforce. So I will discuss it and explain it one by one. So number 1 is communicating clearly desired values, strategic initiatives, and goals. It is essential for a positive culture at the workplace, helps create positive relation with people both outside and inside the organization. Role modeling involves leading by example, adopting behavior which is regular and consistent. Engage organization. Engaging employees, it refers to how employees feel about their culture and their jobs. Engaged employees are more likely to stay happy, motivated, and committed to the company. Align systems and structures, ensuring that every aspect of the organization, people, teams, surroundings, and systems works together to create desired results. Train for innovation. It is important in building a culture of innovation is to train employees to think effectuality. It allows for innovative teams to rapidly sense, act, and mobilize even under uncertain conditions. Evaluate and reinforce. So it is important to determine if current behaviors are consistent with the desired culture and to sustain desired behaviors. So the given example of an organization that invests in culture building is Social Enterprise Human Nature. One of its organization values is faith in action. It implemented culture building activities to align every employee with its vision, mission, and values. And another example is Blue Core. And it also value diversity, address equality and equity.
Good day, ma'am. My name is Yuniza de Leon de los Santos, and I'll be answering these 2 questions. So, what differentiates the human resource management function from HRM intervention? So, my answer is the human resources management is considered with a continuous emphasis on the development of people at work, whereas HRM intervention targeted at developing, integrating, and supporting the employee in an organization. So question number 2. What are the cultural realities that must be considered when conducting the mentioned intervention in the Philippines? So my answer is the cultural realities that must be considered when conducting the mentioned intervention in the Philippines is the main goal. The main people of integrated Filipino indigenous people, knowledge, and culture and passion. That's all, ma'am.
Hi, I am Joanna Faye, being Philippines, being major in HRDM. My questions are, how can leaders affect the sustainability efforts of an organization? Number 2, describe the concept use of self in OD practice. Discuss how an understanding of this concept is critical in OD practice. My answer in number 1, leaders motivate employees to involve in continuous learning opportunities where they work together to solve organizational problems. In addition, leadership practices are vital indicators to employees believe in the organization's commitment to sustainability. My answer in number 2 is organizational development is a critical and science-based process that helps organizations build their capacity to change and to achieve greater effectiveness by developing, improving, and reinforcing strategies, structures, and processes. They must choose to use their skills and abilities in deliberate and thoughtful ways to influence others. In short, they must use themselves as the instrument of change, a concept often referred to as self as instrument. As with any instrument, before one becomes a virtuous, there is learning, practice, and performance. Self in organizational development, use of self is conscious use of one's whole being in the intentional execution of one's roles for effectiveness in whatever the current situation is presenting.
Give an example of transactional leader. The transactional model is likely to succeed in a crisis or in projects that require linear and specific processes. This model is also useful for big corporations such as Hewlett-Packard, a company known for its extensive use of management by exception. Many high-level members of the military CEOs of large international companies and NFL coaches are known to be transactional leaders. Transactional leadership also works well in policing agencies and first responder organizations. One of the examples is Howard Schultz. Howard Schultz was born in 1953 and grew up in the Brooklyn housing project. He escaped the project with a football scholarship from Northern Michigan University. After college, he started selling coffee makers to companies that included the Starbucks Coffee Tea and Spice Company, which originally sold coffee beans rather than made-to-order drinks. He was hired by the company in 1982. In 1984, Schultz opened the first Starbucks coffee house based on the concept of an Italian espresso bar. Give an example of transformational leader. Transformational example is inspirational motivation. I am in short. In the beginning, we spent time communicating a story of the company's current conditions and how it could and should be. Instead, everybody knew how bad things were, but few said it out loud. Once the leadership stated the obvious and embraced the problems to their core, people feel change already. This was the before picture in our visions as transformational leaders. None of us should accept the current situation since we knew we were capable of something much better than this. We wanted to feel proud again and not always have to apologize for our errors. The forward-looking vision was turning our company into what it had the potential to be. It worked finally. The problems which had been around for years were going to be addressed and solved. As the transformations moved forward, people saw that they were capable of, which generated a winning spirit, team commitment, and engagement. This mental transformation was crucial in making the next improvement step possible. If you were to choose what type you will use in your own organizations, explain why. I choose democratic leadership because also known as participative leadership or shared leadership is a type of leadership style in which members of the group take a more participative role in the decision-making process. One type of leadership can apply to in organizations from private businesses to school to government.